Good afternoon, and welcome to our continuing series, Interviews with Disciples and Devotees. Today we are again most happy to have Shyam Kumari with us.
Thank you,
Namaste.
Narad, for having me because it's always such a great joy for me to talk about Sri Aurobindo and the mother and their Leela, not about their philosophy. Because Nalida told me that mother has said to him, or mother has written somewhere, that let nothing and nobody come between the great consciousness of Sri Aurobindo and yourself. And especially about Savitri. You might not, I don't know what I have told you in the other interviews. I have forgotten all that. So, I have translated Savitri 7 times. I am doing the final version. And it all have been the foundation of my Savitri translation was laid on the first day while for the first time I was on way to Pondicherry. It's a very interesting story. I was a rather adventurous young lady and not very practical. So one day I announced to my husband, see, I don't find anything in the world worth living for. I'm going to, please send me to Pondicherry. If I find something worth living for there, I will live. Because I came to know of the ashram 10 or 12 years before that point, when I was a young student of 17.
Yes, you told us about that. You have told us about that already.
About that.
Yes.
So further, so when I came to Pondicherry, the adventurous way, I didn't even know that Egmore and Madras, Chennai were 2 separate stations, and for coming to Pondicherry, you had to take a train from Egmore. Yeah. And there I met Kokilji, and I came to know of Savitri, but her translation, I didn't find any interest in it. And when but I understood the significance of Savitri, and I started reading it. But we have a very wrong belief, I think now, in India, that if you mispronounce the mantra, something terrible happens. There was always this belief. And my pronunciation of English, even now, is UP. It's not Oxford or Cambridge pronunciation like our students or my sons. So I thought if I read Savitri, I will be mispronouncing half of the words. So I read I'm cutting in short, for 20 years I read silently, without pronouncing. Later on I realized that Ram, you can say Rama or Rama, like so many ways each name of Krishna, Ram is pronounced. Sri Aurobindo's name, Kannada people pronounce with difference everywhere, it doesn't matter. But anyway, like that I continued for maybe 20 years after coming here and never pronounced it, Savitri. Read every day. So I was working about 14 hours a day at that time and looking after Nalnida from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. I reached home at 11, went to sleep, woke up at 3:30 or 4, and first thing I did, mother has said to Monada that open Savitri anywhere and read. So I used to open Savitri and read it. And it had continued for years. Then one morning, suddenly it opened on page 526, which is a left side page. And without thinking, I took up a pencil and without looking at the dictionary, I translated a whole page. and it is Finding of the Soul. Then I'm so busy whole day, I had no time to think. I didn't consider myself worthy of reading Savitri loudly, and here I had translated. I was in awe of Savitri. Then next morning I had no time to rest, few hours sleep. When I woke up, again I opened and it opened on the same page. This time I did the translation of right side, page 528. And then I was astonished that what is this? Then I copied them nicely, what I had written, and gave them to Nalnida with a covering letter. What is it all about? That's the way I wrote. What is it all about? Then he got Animadi to read the English and Matri Prasad to read the Hindi. And then he told me, translate Savitri all your lives. And then I learned from Nalini, I told you maybe about my class letters to the mother. No, we wrote from our class 11 letters and mother has answered. Anyway, so
Do you have those letters?
Yes,
Could we read them out one day?
yes, surely.
We can bring them and we can read them out.
Huh?
Wonderful.
They are priceless.
Yeah.
And they were, you see, in those days, when we wrote those letters, that is 71 to 73 May. After May, mother didn't read any more letters. And even on the days when on the notice board it was written, mother will not see anybody, she would read our class letters. She has answered them. 71 to 73, it's most precious. Actually, I need somebody. I'm too weak now to do all this. I have published 70 books and 80 issues of the Hindi magazine. But now to bring out, they should come out in a large book, because children have decorated, lots of artwork is there. They were held by Nalini. Anyway, you will see, it is just...
Can bring them next time.
And you can, I have made photocopies, I will bring the photocopies.
Yes, yes.
That will be better.
Good.
So you see, reverting back to Savitri, so he said, translate all your lives, but he asked, show me the passages you like best. It was 1982, February 7, 1984, Nalnida left his body. So we had 1.5 years only. But Nalnida always gave more importance to achievements than to problems. So he didn't ask me, if you have difficulty, you ask me. He told me, what you like best in your translation, that you show me. Same happened with the letters, that Kirit could not take them for 1 year. Poor man, he had so many problems to discuss with the mother. Nalnida took the first day I gave to him. So that's how I digressed a bit. So about this, so I started translating, and in last days, those last months, he was taking sometimes oxygen, he was in great pain often. So there was not much interchange about this, but still there is a very beautiful prelude to my translation. When Nalnida was he has translated Savitri in Bengali, and he gave me a copy. The day it came out, he was giving copies, and he gave me also, though I don't know Bengali. Then I asked him, should I follow your translation, get somebody to read the Bengali, which I will understand a little bit? He said, no, do your own translation. And in this respect, he said, which I could not follow, I am too impatient. If you don't understand the meaning of a word, don't look up in the dictionary. The meaning will be revealed to you. And that's why I found towards the end because my days are numbered, so I'm hurrying it, looking up the dictionary. And I have seen that when you don't look at the dictionary and approach it with the silent mind as the mother has suggested to Monada, then correct words and everything comes. I have the date somewhere, the date I started, but it was in 82. So, in this respect, I want to bring two other things to your notice, which are rather, some may call it indiscreet, but I think it's time that we said things which are needed to be told. That I've forgotten what I was going to say. That means mother doesn't want it to be revealed. But Nalnida said, don't read anybody's commentary. He has written 2 or 3 very short essays on Savitri. Not at all. And this was the main thing, how it revealed itself. And I have done 7 revisions. But I tell you that recently, about a year or 2 back, Larry, you know our Larry, somebody wrote to him that Satyavan was a painter and a sculptor. And he quoted some lines from Savitri, and then we realized when he is introducing himself to Savitri, those lines tell us. And in 7 revisions, I never caught. There is so much in Savitri which reveals itself. And Nalnida especially said, don't read anybody's interpretation or about Savitri. You open yourself to it. And that's how I started telling you that you have so much from Savitri, but nobody is worthy of talking about Savitri. So Nalnida used to read Savitri, say maybe 2 or 3 times. He went to the playground, it was put on the notice board. He sat on a low bench with a low mic and he just read some portion. Nobody is worthy of analyzing Savitri, including me. Except mother, Nalnida, and I have heard Shyam said about the great Bengali sadhak Anirvan. He has translated Savitri. I don't think there is someone who can understand Savitri except mother and Nalnida. I mean all the others, even the greatest of them, we need not name anybody. So this is just, today I read in collaboration, then I thought I will bring it to your notice. All I have written is about their Leela, how they acted with different persons. So that's about Savitri and Nalnida. When I started translating, I was young. I got very excited and felt quite self-important that I am translating Savitri and let a few people know. Then Himmat Singh Ji, you remember? Madan Lal Himmat Singh?
I know him very well.
So he asked me, you give me, I will publish what you are translating. Then I asked Nalnida. Luckily I had the good sense to ask. He said, no, don't publish. Translate all your lives. Translating Savitri means living in the consciousness of Savitri. So later on, for past 5 or 10 years in my Hindi magazine, a friend, Sannyasini, she insisted very much. Then I published a few pages translation. I have no intention to publish Savitri. When I finish, I hope this year, I will finish my final revision and I will give the CDs and notebooks to Savitri Bhavan. I don't intend to publish. Because actually the idea of publishing led me astray. Because I wanted to finish it. What does it matter if I don't finish? It is more for my inner growth, for coming nearer to the mother. So this is about Nalida. I want to tell you several things. I have seen tears in his eyes twice. Once, I forget the name of that gentleman, an old sadhak. His son lived in Australia and he died. And then Nalida told me that you were talking about him in a different context, that old gentleman. He asked me to take him to see a house I wanted to rent. Then he told me with tears in his eyes, his son has died. They were educated here, lived here whole of their life. And second time I saw tears in his eyes was with something connected with me. Last time I told you, I have suffered here terrible things, 3 years in a house without. So he asked a sadhak to give his ground floor rent on. He also was very tough on me. Then Nalida ultimately asked Kunuma that we must give a house to Shyam Kumari. He gave me a house which could have fallen any day. It was, even the wall shook. And my son was an engineering student. So he would say, this month the roof has come down, ceiling has come down half centimeter or millimeter. I told mother, in my heart, mother, I don't mind dying. But people will say you didn't look after your children. Anyway, so when things became impossible, one day I went and howled in the meditation hall. Then Nalida got me shifted to Chote Narayan's house. He made life even more difficult. The water was full of worms and he made me carry it 30-40 buckets to some plants in his garden. And my back I got dislocated. Then he asked Kunuma, he gave me a house, I've told you. Ultimately, like this, then Nalida said, we must make our own house. So he arranged things in a way. Nalida didn't act on the outer plane. He acted from within. That I found a small plot in the next street and my father gave money. He had offered money earlier to the ashram, asking them to make a room for me on some ashram terrace. But nothing happened. Kunuma proposed to make a house on the roof just behind the old balcony. But it would have only asbestos sheet because otherwise it will go higher. But they made rooms there for that Dr. Arvind Eye Hospital, Venkat Swami. Anyway, so we made that house. And Nalida, I asked for a name. That whole story is like a detective drama. Each step, how things happen, how we made that house. Because Nalida has said, let us make our own house. So he put force for things to happen, and they happened. So I asked him for a name for the house. Mother had left her body, and we shifted to the house in 79. Nalnida chose the date 29th March. So one day when I went to him, he said, you asked for a name for your house? You know Vraja? What is Vraja? You know the meaning? So I lived in UP whole of my life before coming here. And Vraja is Mathura Vrindavan, the Leela Bhumi of Sri Krishna. I knew very well the meaning of Vraja because there, in our course book there were hundreds of poems about Vraja and Krishna. But I kept quiet. I knew that he was going to say something. So he said, Vraja is the Leela Bhumi of Sri Krishna. The second meaning of Vraja is home. And the third meaning is Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Sarva Dharma Parityajena. Krishna tells Arjuna, leave all the dharmas and take shelter in me. So he wrote that name on a paper, and we got it that on a stone, copied. So, but by that time, 29th March he chose for our Graha Pravesh. Before that, ashram was attacked. 2 months before, they broke that was the last but one attack. And things were very serious. After that, Nalnida didn't come out of the ashram building anymore. So he didn't come, but he sent some people, Samyada, Arun, Adinath, who were close to him from Calcutta Path Mandir. And later told me, you know, who came? I came today. This is a small aside, but...
Now you were going to tell us about the Lady and the Saris pieces.
That's fantastic. You might not know. When Sri Aurobindo came here, his letters were being censored, and still he had some connection with the revolutionaries, because by that time Nalanda etc. had not even come. So British spies tried their best to find out how letters are coming to him. They could not find. You know, they were being sent to the address of Sadanandam, who was the chief jailer of French prisons. But at heart he was a nationalist, and he used to come to see Sri Aurobindo. So all the letters they were sent to him, and from there they came to Sri Aurobindo. And then Sri Aurobindo, somehow, he used to visit Sri Aurobindo in the evening. He came by stealth. But the governor came to know of it, and he admonished him. Then Sadanandam said, Sir, I do my duty. In my off-duty time, what I do, it doesn't concern the government. If you do not agree, I will give my resignation. So governor relented. Actually, the French governors, they tried to help the British against Sri Aurobindo half-heartedly, because the French have always stood for liberty of other nations. So he continued. And he was 40 years because he was at heart a follower of Gandhi and didn't marry. Then, when he was 40, later on after retirement, he came and lived in the ashram, just where Vishwajit Da lives, parallel to Golkund, I think. Then Sri Aurobindo told him, it's the most thrilling thing. Nobody knows this. We are bhaktas. So such things move us. So Sri Aurobindo said, you must marry now. And I will choose the girl. So 3 photographs were submitted. And Sri Aurobindo chose the photograph of one lady, Arogyamari. And Sri Aurobindo told him before this that after 2 years a daughter will be born to you and her name will be Arvind Bala. So Sri Aurobindo went to the Mary to sign the register because Sadanandam was a Christian. So civil marriage register, the signature is still there. 10 years back or 15 years back, Shrikant went and checked, he found. Sri Aurobindo and Pal Rishar was here. They both signed as witnesses. And Arogyamari used to make fried raisins, salted fried raisins for Sri Aurobindo, which Sri Aurobindo liked. And now this girl was born Arvindo Bala, as he had said. Sri Aurobindo took her in his lap, and she grew up playing with the beard of Sri Aurobindo till the mother came. And she was quite hefty. She would sit on the lap of Sri Aurobindo, and when mother came, she tried to take her on her lap. She wouldn't agree, but she had become fair. Then mother slowly gave her biscuits and cajole, come and sit on my lap. And thus, once she wetted the dhoti of Sri Aurobindo as a child. This Arvind Bala, her story is at once tragic and great. At the age of 9, she would be completely in trance. She used to walk with closed or half-open eyes in the ashram, and Nalini asked her, Balaji, Arvind Bala, where are you? I am at the lotus feet of the Lord. She walked with, mother, here girls started wearing saris very early. And mother gave her only the dhotis of Sri Aurobindo to wear. And a little red border for color was put. Then one day, years passed like that. She made mother's scarves, did lots of work in the ashram. When the buildings were made, she carried the sand and the pebbles, etc. She loved working. And once mother had said that I want to clad all my daughters in silk. But in those early days, there was so little money that mother gave whatsoever she had. Otherwise, people just managed. For example, if she could not give a kurta to our Duman, he just took a piece of his old torn dhoti, cut a piece which was not torn, stitched at the side and left place for 2 hours, and that would be his kurta. So when mother mother had to sell all her saris for ashram expenses, do you know that? Huh? So Navjat ji of society, he did such a great thing that is so far back. He sent 1 lakh. Mother said, I won't sell them one by one. Somebody should take them all together. So Dyuman Bhai wrote to Navjat of society later on. And he sent 1 lakh of rupees and said, you keep these saris to Dyuman and sell them one by one, and the extra money you will get reselling, you offer to the mother. Then one day mother mentioned, I would like to clad all my daughters in silk. Dyuman Bhai said, Mother, I will give you. He brought out 300 or 400 of those saris. I have the exact figures, but I was not thinking of this story today. But when I tell you the piece I am going to give you, I have to bring this story. So mother chose one sari for each sadhika herself. She is tall, she is short, she is fair, she is dark. What would suit whom? She sold all, chose everyone. To Bala, Arvind Bala, she gave a maroon color sari, which she wore on one of her birthdays to the mother. Only once. Then, after that, for 30 years, 40 years, she didn't wear it. And it fell apart. Silk, if it is not used, it just falls apart. And I used to serve all these old people in my small ways. Now I can serve in much better ways, but there is nobody to serve. I'm old myself. So I used to serve in small ways, Arvind Balaji. And she gave me pieces of that sari, which mother had worn many, many times. She has worn only once on her birthday when she went to the mother. So again a little miracle, a lady doctor from Delhi came to ashram. We came in contact, I don't know how. She went and bought scissors, serrated scissors, and being a surgeon, she knew how to do these things. She bought hundreds of plastic packets and cut those pieces and packed them in plastic. And I have them and I give them to those who would like to have them or value them. So this Arvind Bala, but how tragic life can be. One day she had a boil here. And in those days nobody did anything without taking the mother's permission. It was the year when there was soup distribution. I remember it is connected with that. He just took Arvind Bala to a surgeon, French surgeon, and he did an operation. And after that she became deranged. And one day she jumped at the mother. Then Nalnida and someone else, I have written in her story in 3rd volume of How They Came, they held her back. She was going to jump at the mother. But that great capacity of sadhana was lost through that operation. She was always in trance at the age of 9. I am at the lotus feet of the mother. She walked like that. So then she was married, but she was very miserable. She had 2 sons, but her life was ruined. Ultimately, she said to Nalnita, if mother doesn't accept me back in the ashram, I will jump in the sea. Then she was taken. But that great capacity of transformation was lost. That's how I got this. And their mother took care for, in her story, I want to tell you one small incident. One day, in those days, all these sadhikas, they had white saris. That one silk sari was precious for, they covered their forehead like this with white saris. So Arvind Bala went into the room of a sadhak to take water. There several lived in the same building just to drink water. It was reported to the mother. She was scolded. Why did you go into the room of a sadhak? Mother, at every step she saw and corrected.